Good morning, traders. This is Bob Haberkorn with Cholly Senior and Mike Sabo, Senior Brokers here at RJO Futures, here to discuss on Wednesday morning, October 10th, the USDA supply-demand numbers that are going to be out tomorrow, Thursday at 7:30 a.m. Central Time. Should expect some good moves in the markets. Grains have been pretty volatile the entire summer based off a few things with the weather, bad conditions that have been going on in the grain markets with the weather. Keep an eye though on tomorrow because the market is open at 7:30 a.m. Central for this number, like it was for the previous number a couple weeks back. So we should expect some volatility on the number here. That'll be out at 7:30. Frank, what are you looking at for tomorrow morning with the grain number here, the supply demand?
I think this is going to be a big report, Bob, and it all comes down to how aggressive the USDA gets with their estimates of yield and harvested acres. The private forecasters like to come out usually the week ahead of the USDA, and one very well-respected forecaster really bumped up their yield projections on soybeans at 37 bushels per acre. So while the USDA is closer to 35, some are even talking about 38 or 39 bushels per acre, and
that seems high.
I think that's a bit of a stretch. And into corn, one forecaster was at 127 bushels per acre. The market's currently factoring in some closer to 120, 123.
Yeah.
So it's really going to come down to how aggressive the USDA gets. I would expect that they err on the side of caution, keep expectations kind of low.
Sure.
It's going to be more than one or two reports before we get a real clear picture on where we're really at. But we've had a poor crop condition year, and I'd be surprised if we see those numbers much better than what the market is currently factoring in. So
yeah, I anticipate probably USDA to err on the side of caution, like you said. Grains have been high all summer with that 15 level in the soybeans. Kind of, right now they've pulled back quite a bit here since the last number, and you got beans kind of hanging out. We're trading around 1540 right now.
Yeah, this morning.
In the soybeans, I mean 1500. Probably does look like maybe the limited downside on this thing. It's what I'm kind of.
I think there's
right
good
now.
support from a technical level.
Yeah.
I think there's great support around the $15 area. We've tested that area several times. I think we've seen a good correction already in the market.
Yeah.
And I mean, short of a big surprise in the USDA report,
yeah.
I just don't think it's going to come under that much more additional pressure. Expect to see volatility.
Sure.
But beans going under 15 and continuing on a downward trajectory, I just don't see it right now.
Yeah, because I mean, demand is still there. I think for grains, even at this price, we seem to be able to sustain these levels here. I mean,
especially with soybeans.
Soybeans, the export numbers, U.S. export numbers have been outstanding on soybeans, whereas they've been weak in corn and in the wheat market. Is it the fact that we're finding other sources worldwide for the corn and wheat right now?
With wheat, I think that is the real story, is that there's a lot of grain coming out of the Black Sea region is what we really focus on. Australia puts out a big crop too. But look, we got the best quality. We have the highest prices.
Sure.
So, right now they don't need to come to the U.S. But as they start to run on tighter supplies in Europe and they'll be forced to come this way. Their prices will come up. The spread between the price difference will be smaller, and then they'll turn to the U.S. for it. And we expected wheat usage as far as feed goes to increase a little bit. I think we were surprised in that last report that the feed usage for corn really didn't go away that much.
Yeah.
The rationing happened with export sales, but corn got to $8.50.
Well, you touched on the feed aspect of it with corn. From what I've been hearing, corn that they're still being used substantially with feed. They haven't really gone to substitute for.
Yeah, I think that was the big surprise in the quarterly report, and the USDA will probably touch on that tomorrow also.
Yeah. That in itself, I mean, $7 corn should be able to maintain and stay above that $7 level.
It looks like $7 kind of put a bottom, in the price there, like $15 in soybeans.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think technically, I mean, the $7 area seems to be a real strong area of support. We've tested it several times.
Yeah.
And I just see that there's going to be strong support there. Again, short of there being a major surprise number coming out of the report tomorrow.
Yeah.
I think prices have been consolidating in this area for a period of time. think, at this point, if there's no surprise out of that USDA report, I look for prices to move higher.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the market is trying to move in that direction. And what surprises me the most about, soybeans hanging out at 15.50 basically, as long as they have, is that at 17 and a half, we still had
Good demand.
good demand.
Yeah.
That hasn't gone away. We have a tight supply. USDA had told us in the last report that the beans out of Brazil are pretty much spoken for.
Yeah.
I mean, they're on a very, very tight supply. China is committed to buying beans from us, and they need the protein. I just can't see, us spending much more time here. Again, unless, outside markets.
You're talking about the beans, and then you look at the latest
low.
crop condition report that came out, and I mean, we're coming in around 37% rated, good to excellent, which is an increase.
Yeah, a little improvement.
A little improvement from week over, but yeah, you look at the big scope on these beans, and 37% is really terrible.
It's still dismal.
I mean, it's below. It's 1% below
Yeah.
the worst that was crop condition that we saw, which was back in '02, and the highs were around 78%, I think, back in early '90s, 92 if I'm not mistaken. So 37% rated good to excellent is not really.
No, it's not good, and that's another reason
you look at the big picture. It's
should maintain. I think that the downside on grains right now probably is limited, even at these prices, based off
I think
export
so.
and what you touched on with the crop condition being at 37%.
One thing I haven't heard a lot of talk about is, we had a severe drought. We had very high temperatures. We had very little moisture. That problem hasn't been fixed yet.
No.
And moving forward, if we continue in that dry pattern that we've been in, we're already at a big deficit on moisture.
sure.
It's going to take a lot to make up that
Absolutely.
deficit and get us to a more normal level. What happens moving forward? Not only in terms of how much acres do we plant, but what kind of yields are we going to get
Sure.
if we have more dry
You
weather
see a real
through the
mild
winter
not
into
a
the
lot of
spring?
snowfall, yeah,
Right.
and a somewhat drier spring. I mean, you got to think that far ahead because it could get pretty bad.
Well, it's gonna be interesting too, even after this number of months from now. What we'll see is with what the planting intentions are gonna be for next year's crop, considering where the prices of
Right.
beans, wheat, and soybeans.
And final numbers
corn
on
are, yeah.
this year's production.
The other thing I think it's important to point out too is that I've been speaking and working with a lot of farmers, and they're telling me, I mean, that they're going to make obviously delivery on their existing contracts, but they're planning on holding back. They're anticipating higher prices, so they're going to try to put what they can in storage and sit tight. What are you guys hearing?
Yeah, I mean the ability to store is great today. So I've been hearing along the same lines right now. So, well, guys, tomorrow 7:30 a.m. Central Time, we'll be looking forward to seeing how the number does come out, the USDA supply demand number. Remember, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact myself, Bob Haberkorn, Frank Cholly Senior, or Mike Sabo. The market is open during the number, so it should be interesting. Could see the entire day's range within that number. Remember also, if you're looking for daily commentary on the grains, follow Frank Cholly Senior's daily videos he does on the grain markets. If you're looking for energy commentary daily, follow Mike Sabo's videos he does daily on the energy markets. And if you're looking for precious metal commentary, follow myself, Bob Haberkorn, on my daily metal commentary. Remember, futures trading does pose significant risk. It's not suitable for all investors. And also, don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Facebook. If you have any questions, again, please feel free to contact us. And good luck trading tomorrow, and we'll see how this number comes out.